Hi, I'm Jim Thomas. Welcome to Chicagoland's only outdoor show where you can be the winner. Today we're giving away hundreds of dollars in prizes, so stay with us. Nice to have you with us. You know, folks, it's a pity that there just isn't enough time or money in one's life to be able to fish and hunt every desirable and exotic spot in the world. In fact, I personally would give a great deal if I could just revisit some of the many spots I've been fortunate enough to have enjoyed so very much through the years I've been involved in this business. I know for sure I don't have enough time left to return to all of them, but I'm going to try darn hard to get back to a couple of them one of these days. Now the question is, which shall it be? Well, let's see. Surely Panama for those big black marlin, and Florida most certainly for some spectacular tarpon angling. And for sure I'd like to tangle with some of those saltwater trophies down Baja way in the Sea of Cortez. And oh yes, there's another great spot I'd like to go back to, and we're all going to go there and read our first question of today right after this short break. D.L. Bonifazi of Palatine, Illinois, sent in today's first question, which in part goes something like this. I'd like to see some action on Arctic fishing, trout, grayling, etc. Can you oblige, please? I'd be happy to, D.L. In fact, the Arctic is that other place I want to revisit. Up in the Northwest Territories and the Yukon and Arctic in general is certainly one of the few remaining virtually untouched wilderness areas left in the world. No smog or pollution of any kind, lots of fish and game, nothing but quiet natural beauty as far as the eye can see. And the fishing? Well, come along and see for yourself.
Yes, this is Alaska's Kodiak Island, a barren, desolate land located well above the timber line. Shelter is scarce up here and by civilized standards quite meager. But when men come this far to fish, it's not a question of living conditions, it's are they hitting? Up in this country, the answer to that one is always yes. Our experts are after the battling silver or Coho salmon, and as usual, a smashing strike tells all that Mr. Coho is ready, willing, and able to take most any offering presented to him. Conventional spinning tackle is the order of the day, and brother, if you don't think it takes a lot of know-how to land a 10 to 15-pound bruiser fresh from the sea and full of fight on this light equipment, well, just take a gander at this. These great fish are nearing the end of their spawning run, which takes place further up in this freshwater stream. After spawning, they die, having completed their life cycle. But it looks as though this big fellow's about to join the ranks of the ones that got away, because out flips the hook and back into the whitewater swims this prize Coho. Too bad, Mac, too bad. Up in this country, fortunately, the angling is far more predictable than the weather. Oftentimes, a man has to really buck the elements in order to experience a taste of action like this. Add to this a raging stream with a 10-pound salmon on the other end of light tackle, and my friend, you've really got your hands full. But all's well that ends well, and from here it looks like this beauty is as good as hanging on the trophy wall. Nice going, partner. But up in Alaska isn't the only spot in North America where the Coho salmon abounds. No, sir, not by a long shot. At certain times of the year, one of the largest freshwater lakes in the world, Lake Michigan, located some 3,000 miles southeast of Kodiak Island, is jammed to capacity with eager anglers. What are they after? Why, Coho salmon, of course. Yes, sir, a few years back, Coho salmon fingerlings were stocked in this great body of water. And because of the abundance of food fish in Lake Michigan, these salmon grew to 20 pounds within 3 short years. And fellas and gals, offer a small spinner that runs on or near the surface. And if there's a coho within 50 feet, he'll take it with every bit of viciousness befitting his reputation. And from then on, it's hold on or else. Look at that baby walk on his tail, would you? Easy with that net, pal. You sure don't want to miss this one. Easy, easy, easy. Watch it. That's a good way to lose a darn good fish. Attaboy, you got him. Buddy, you may have taken an 8 or 10 pound northern or walleye in your time, but you haven't lived until you latch onto one of these babies. Oh, about 15 pounds, I'd say, and every ounce loaded with dynamite. Tackle is more or less a matter of preference and angling experience. However, most sportsmen, particularly on their first trip to Lake Michigan, like something a little heavier than ultralight spinning gear in their hands when mixing it up with a big coho salmon. Small wonder, huh? Now I ask you, isn't that a beautiful fish? Oh my, oh my, oh my. This guy's really got something to write home about. There's a place called Victoria Island, located well within the Arctic Circle of Canada's rugged Northwest Territories, that boasts of another freshwater species of game fish that spends part of its time in the sea, and that's the Arctic char. Few anglers have ever even heard of it, let alone fished for it. But the men who have will be quick to tell you that when hooked, it becomes the fastest fightingest fury with fins on it. Again, conventional spinning tackle may be used with about 15-pound test line, and brother, it'll take all of that and more to cope with this bruiser of fast water when you connect too. He's out of the water almost as much as he is in it. Let's settle back and watch this. And every time you think he's about ready to submit, he calls upon more of that reserved energy, and once again the water explodes like a series of depth charges. But finally, even the most gallant champions must sometimes bow to the victor. Ah, but this champ comes in whip but scrapping to the very finish. And there you have it, folks, the Arctic char, a trophy among trophies in anybody's book. Congratulations, fella.
Yes, it's great country, and God willing, it will always remain so. But obviously, man must make a substantial effort through wise conservation measures to make it remain so. I hope, DL, that you will find a way to get up there someday. Believe me, it'll be a trip of a lifetime. Thanks a lot for the question. Now let's take a look at what you'll receive. A Daiwa spinning combo consisting of a famous Daiwa Regal spinning reel, which features autocast, one ball bearing, and the patented gyro spin system, along with a two-piece Triforce X graphite spinning rod, strong, lightweight, and powerful, with sensitivity to feel the lightest strikes. Daiwa, committed to total quality. And we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Here's a good question from Wes Anderson of Cedar Lake, Indiana. Mr. Anderson writes as follows. I read and hear all about the great snow goose hunting in Texas, but I have not yet seen anything on it. I was wondering if you could help. I can and I will, Wes. One of the best spots I know of down Texas way to hunt for the big snows is a place called Sabine Pass, Texas, right smack dab on the Louisiana border. It's flat, marshy land that's loaded with rice, and during the winter, those huge birds pass through by the thousands. But let's start at the beginning.
I've always gotten a big kick out of hunting the wily snow goose, but when I'm off to the Port Arthur Sabine Pass area, it's a double pleasure. First of all, the geese come barreling through this part of the Gulf Coast by the tens of thousands, and secondly, I have the opportunity to pair up with O.D. LeBeau, one of the best guides in the business. Brother, if he can't call them in, well, they just can't be called in. But O.D. wouldn't think of going out until we both had a good breakfast.
However, I don't feel like that we'll have any problem getting your limit. You know, the boy was here the other day, and we didn't have any problem getting his limit. He done pretty good.
Was he a pretty good shot?
I think he done fine.
Well, I'm delighted. And incidentally, when we get out there, I got some new guns I want to show you. They're new ones right from Japan called Dawa.
As soon as we finish breakfast, well, we'll give the geese and the guns a try.
Well, sir, it didn't take long after gulping down that final cup of coffee to don the old boots and jacket and head for the boathouse. One nice thing about this place is that you're only a few minutes away from the actual hunting area once you leave the lodge. O.D. predicted that a change in the weather was due, and that very possibly by the time we reached the blinds it'd be overcast, and this suited me to a T, because it's a known fact that migratory birds seem to like foul weather much better than fair skies. This boat of O.D.'s is something else. It's sort of a combination between an airboat and a flat-bottom John boat that he designed himself, but it'll sure move. And as usual, LeBeau was right. The weather has changed and the geese are moving. The blinds are laid out in such a way as to favor the prevailing winds. In almost all cases, geese will travel into the wind, so invariably they'll either come directly to you or from behind. In either event, you have a pretty fair shot at them. And no sooner do we get settled than a huge flock of birds are sighted. They're still pretty far out, but when the old master goes to work on his calling, they could be persuaded to drop in on us. Here they come. Heart's pounding faster, nervous index finger on that safety. Hey, how about that? 3 clean kills. The old shooting eye is still working. But unlike the Canada hunker, oftentimes the snows will circle, and almost before you can get set, they move back in on you. And that's when you really call your head off. Once again, we spring into action, guns buckle against our shoulder, and more instant kills. And, of course, in the absence of the lab, someone's got to retrieve the geese. This is amazing country. No wonder they call it Texas' greatest corner. There's always something going on down here for the folks who love to hunt and fish, as well as those who perhaps like their recreation in a more passive form. It's all here, including some of the biggest snow geese I've ever seen. By the way, a Texas hunting license as well as a federal duck stamp are required to hunt migratory waterfowl anywhere within our country. And your gun needs to be plugged, too, if it's an automatic or pump. More action, and O.D. sends out his invitation. This is truly goose shooting at its very best, and we're gradually getting up to our limit, too. More birds in the air. What a stimulating sight. Listen. Three break off in response to the calling. This ought to be a cinch. Well, what do you know? Both of us are not a feather ruffled. Now, how can a guy miss a shot like that? Hey, looks like we have a chance to redeem ourselves. Here comes some more. Steady now, this may be our last opportunity to fill up. There they are, 3 more dropping out and heading this way. That's it. We made a limit of snow geese, and in pretty short order, too. By golly, that's something to write home about. And as O.D. picks up the fallen geese, you realize beyond a shadow of a doubt that this whole area down here is a sportsman's paradise. The hunting pressure is comparatively light as far as major flyways go, and there always seems to be an abundance of the big birds passing through each season. The migratory waterfowl regulations are followed to the letter by all who hunt here. Cripples are nearly always recovered, and down here you don't sky bust. Either the birds are well within range or you'd better not shoot. No one is permitted to shoot over the limit, even accidentally. So with good conservation measures like those in practice, Nimrods who thrill to the sight of geese setting their wings as they prepare to land among the decoys, and those who love the feel of a gun buckling against their shoulders, are assured of this magnificent hunting for years to come. Yes, it's the end of a perfect day in the marsh. Good company, lots of action, and the thought of coming back tomorrow. And on the way back to the hunting lodge, you can't help but think just how lucky you are to be a part of all this. And at the same time, off in the distance, you see even more geese honking their way southward.
How about that, huh, Wes? Exciting? You bet. I hope you get down there someday. I know you'll enjoy it. Thanks for writing in, and we'd like to send you something. Daiwa's new Black Widow bait casting reel with your choice of right or left-handed retrieve, offering exceptional performance, matched with one of Daiwa's Triforce number 561 series bait casting rods, with many exciting features like a new reel seat design for superior sensitivity and comfort. Daiwa, committed to total quality. We'll be back in a minute or two. Well, we've got a minute or two here for some Jim's closing notes. Here's one that was sent in by Jim Stemp of Chicago, Illinois. I'll read it verbatim. I have just started ice fishing and enjoy it very much. I've been told that whole communities form on frozen lakes to enjoy this winter activity. Well, you heard right, Jim. As a matter of fact, up around Lake Geneva, up in Wisconsin, other lakes of that size, there are indeed communities, whole communities move out. People move their ice shacks out. Some have tents, but most of them have a pretty substantial structure that they erect back in or construct, put together back in their backyards, and then they drag it out on the ice, maybe move it by pickup or some other way to the lake shore, and then just slide it right on out, and they take their pickup truck or their cars right with them. Some of them are quite elaborate. They have bunks in them, and they have stoves, and they don't have to bother with refrigerators, of course. They just put their stuff right outside the door. But it really is, when you fly over these areas, even up in Minnesota, Pelican Lake and Net Lake and some of those up near International Falls, and I've flown those routes frequently during the winter in years gone by, and it does indeed look like another city. You suddenly find yourself looking at your sectional, your navigation map, trying to find which city it is, and all of a sudden you realize it's just 100 or 150 or even more shacks that are put up. And some of these things, as I mentioned earlier, are very, very elaborate. People go out and spend the whole weekend in them and are quite comfortable, cook their meals and everything in there. So you ought to be glad that you're a member now of the ice fishing fraternity, because it is indeed a fun trip, and it's something that lots and lots of people do. We thank you very much, Jim, for your question and your letter, and here is a little thing we have for you here, a plastic tackle box, and you can put some lures in it or anything else. Maybe you can find something to put in there to take with you when you go ice fishing. Well, that's it for now. We hope you enjoyed the program as much as we did bringing it to you. Remember, enjoy our great outdoors, but please don't leave your good manners at home. Until next time, this is Jim Thomas saying so long. Best of luck to you all.